Candidates will get visual cues when there are 20 seconds and 10 seconds remaining in their minute. Each candidate will be asked a question. Each question, however, there will be a rotation so that each candidate will get an opportunity to be the first, second, etc. person to respond to at least 2 questions of each nature, in fairness. Before coming on the air, we randomly assigned our candidates to one of each of the 4 podiums. We'll be taking 3 commercial breaks tonight throughout the event, and since we are live, but in front of a very good-looking audience, we'd like to ask our auditorium audience to please make any applause following the candidates' responses short and respectful. With that, let's meet our candidates. At podium 3, we have Jason Briscoe. At podium 4, Michelle Hoydinga. At podium 1, Ormond Hook. And at podium 2, Morris Langworthy Jr. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Let's get started. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their opening remarks, beginning with podium 1. Mr. Hook, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending our debate tonight. We're glad to have this opportunity with the cooperating counties and the TV and radio station, and we're glad that you're here. I was born in the state of Maine. I lived on a mountain. My father was a sharecropper. My mom and dad, neither of them attended high school. I had the opportunity to attend college. I worked my way through and paid for it myself. Upon graduating from college, I enrolled in the United States Air Force right in the middle of the Vietnam War. After the Air Force, using my GI Bill, I went to Central Michigan University and earned credits to become a school psychologist. I have a very, very strong work ethic. I've served as a psychologist, a principal, superintendent, director of special education, and my life is centered around helping and serving and working with others, and I wish to do that as your next state representative.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Mr. Langworthy.
My name is Morris Langworthy Jr. I want to be your next state representative. I have been a lifelong resident of Osceola County, 4 miles south of here is where I was born and raised, just on the county line. Served 4 years in the Navy, then came home and was involved in several different small businesses with my family. I have served our community on some level, both as a volunteer and as a public servant for the last 25 years. I was county commissioner in Osceola County. Currently I serve as the chairman of the Parks Commission, and I am still involved in the West Michigan Regional Planning Commission. I want to take the next step. I want to represent you and this district in Lansing for the 102nd District. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Langworthy. Mr. Briscoe?
I'm Jason Briscoe. I'm a 4-year Marine veteran, and I'm standing up here because the country that I defended isn't going to exist for my children anymore. As parents, we all want our children to have a better future than we did, better prosperity, better opportunities, but I think we all recognize that that's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because the people who are supposed to be representing us, supposed to be upholding our values, won't. That's why we're dealing with all of the ridiculous things we're dealing with these days, such as transgender bathroom issues or the persecution of Christian business owners. Our representatives are kind of sitting meekly in a corner right now, afraid to speak up, afraid to offend anybody. I'm here to try to advocate for our values, our principles, our actual rights. And I think we need bold representation to turn this around, not just the country, but Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hoydinga.
Thank you, Jay. You got my last name right. I am Michelle Hoydinga, and my parents are here this evening to support me. It's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. I am 7th generation, lived here my whole life. Plan to retire in Michigan. I love Michigan. I have 2 adult sons. One serves in the military, and the other works in agriculture as a commodities trader. I am currently, my husband and I have been married for almost 20 years, and we are business owners. And I am also the mayor of Manton. As being mayor, I've seen what's happening to our municipalities, our townships, our counties, And I want to bring solutions. So I see what's happening, and I want to bring solutions to Lansing. Through my business, through being a mayor, I walk the walk every day. I see what's going on. I see what needs to be done. I have solutions, and I'm going to bring solutions. And what I would say to you is we don't want to send someone to Lansing to learn how to be a leader. I am a leader, and I will get stuff done on behalf of business
Whiting.
owners and communities.
I apologize.
Thanks.
I apologize, your minute was up. All right, thank you, all of you. Now we'll move on to our questions, and we will begin with Mr. Langworthy. In poll after poll, we see that jobs and the economy continue to be of great concern to the people of this district and to Michigan as a whole. What will you do to improve job availability and the business climate of the state?
To improve on our job availability, we have to provide for a good infrastructure. You know, as a member of the West Michigan Regional Planning Commission, I'll be the first one to tell you that setting up here on this peninsula, one of our biggest hurdles is still roads. And in order to move commerce in and out of this district, we have to have good roads. Along with that, we have to provide a good workforce that is going to be able to meet the needs or the jobs that are provided to this area. So training is also paramount to the jobs that, if we do bring them to the district, that we're prepared to provide good people to work in those jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Langworthy.
Thank you.
Mr. Briscoe, what will you do to improve job availability in the business climate of the state?
Well, for starters, I don't believe it's necessary for government to encourage job growth as much as just get out of the way. People in Michigan are good workers. They want to start businesses. We can start businesses here. There's always the next big idea with entrepreneurs. But regulation is the big problem, not as much taxes, although those could get lowered as well. I had a business for a very short time when I was 19 years old. I admit it was only open for 4 months, but I spent the entire year trying to make sure all my paperwork was done properly, my licenses were filed properly. It's too much. People don't want to open a business right now. We need to have organic businesses starting here in Michigan. We don't need to entice so much from bringing people back from Mexico. If we start businesses in Michigan, we encourage the entrepreneurial spirit that is in Michigan, I think we can get jobs to start here that will actually stay here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Briscoe. Ms. Hoidinga, what will you do to improve job availability and the business climate of the state?
The current administration's done a really good job in deregulating, and I want to continue doing that. Actually, they need to really be commended. Governor Snyder and our representatives have, I think it's like 3,000 deregulation bills, and I want to continue that. We need to, as I speak across the district to all of my fellow business owners, I know the pain. I know it. We're walking it every day. We're working our butts off, and we're working to pay taxes, and we're just not getting ahead. The middle class cannot get ahead with the regulations, the stifling regulations, and the excessive taxes. So the deregulation will be a big deal for me.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hook?
Each business that I have interviewed the owners of in the last 2 or 3 months, every single one of them have mentioned regulations. Regulations are killing them. Regulations are making them want to quit or retire or give up their lifelong love for the business that they are in. So we need to continue very, very aggressively reducing the number of regulations that our business owners face. Also, business owners are paying many, many taxes. They're very afraid, they're frightened of the push to have $15 an hour minimum wage, which will totally skew our entire economy. They're very afraid of that. My brother-in-law just invented a new product. He started a new business, but again, he has to file with multiple agencies to get his business going. The state, the government is doing everything they can to stop business by thinking they know how to run it, and they really don't. They need to let the entrepreneurs do that.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Question number 2, and we'll start with Mr. Briscoe. A recent report ranked Michigan 40th in the nation for childhood education. What do you feel can be done to improve the education of Michigan students?
Well, let's start by admitting that throwing money at the problem isn't going to solve it. As you just stated, Michigan's ranked towards the bottom on many surveys, but we're towards the top in how much we spend per pupil. So the issue isn't how much money we're spending on our kids. Obviously, we love our kids. We spend a lot of money. I think what Michigan needs to do, first of all, is get rid of Common Core. And then we need to have an overarching standard at the state level of what we expect schools, institutions to meet in order to receive tax dollars. But those need to be rather loose standards so that the school boards can actually be the ones in charge. Because the school board's the one that's answerable to the parents. We give them as much latitude in meeting those standards as they can get, and we leave as much room in the classroom for teachers to be as creative as they can be. Because we all know who our best teacher was when we were in school. It wasn't the teacher who taught from the book. It wasn't the teacher who followed a strict curriculum. It was the one who could be creative, who taught to their classroom and taught to their students. And I want to give teachers that freedom.
Thank you, Mr. Briscoe. Ms. Hoydinga, what can be done to improve the education of Michigan students?
It comes back to the economy. I know it sounds weird, but studies have shown over and over socioeconomic factors, specifically poverty, and failing academics go hand in hand. And so you can't imagine a child that's going to school that may be hungry thinking about Common Core math. Just isn't going to happen. So we got to lift our families of poverty. We've got to lift them up. We need to hold our administrations accountable. We need really good early childhood development programs, strong ones that are proven effective, and keep open school choice for parents. So if one school is not working for their child, they have other options.
Thank you. Mr. Hook, what can be done to improve the education of Michigan students?
Well, as already mentioned, we are one of the states that spends the most money on education. Again, we're 40th and we are dropping. Local control has to be at the core of it. As said, we need the teachers to be in charge. I worked in education. I spend 50% of my time, I just retired, but I spend 50% of my time just doing government paperwork. Actually, it's a little bit higher than that. And that's 50% time that's taken away from opportunities with students. That's 50% money that, we could have fewer school psychologists than the number that we have. Again, the government needs to get out of the way. It needs to be local control, state control. Our 10th Amendment to the Constitution says education belongs to the states. It's in our state constitution. We need to take over. We need to take control. And I think it has to get back into the classroom, back into the teacher, and get the paperwork out of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. Mr. Langworthy.
Having served on a local school board, I'll be the first one to tell you that local control is the best place for government, and including our school districts as well. You're talking about the Ann Casey Foundation report that was just issued, and unfortunately, I'm a little disappointed with regards to that because they weren't referring to the 102nd district, they were referring to the state overall. More pointedly, they were looking at the Detroit public school system, and that's what knocked that number down. Other than that, Michigan education had an upward trend for the last 3 years. That report was a little skewed as far as Northern Michigan is concerned. Poverty is our biggest concern when we look at the overall well-being of children. We also have to be vigilant when it comes to teen pregnancies, alcohol and drug abuse as well. But as far as education, the 102nd, we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mr. Langworthy. Right now, we're going to take a short break. This is the 102nd District Republican Debate from Cadillac High School. More in a moment.